Hi, my name is Heidi Copeland. I'm a Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Agent with the University of Florida IFAS Extension. A lot of times during the holidays, Extension agents are asked about different types of baking. Especially people are sometimes don't understand terms. One of the terms that is sometimes confusing is a term called cutting in. And cutting in is a term that's often seen in a recipe for something flaky, like a pie crust. So I'm going to show you a very quick way to make a pie crust. Pie crust has very minimal ingredients. 1 teaspoon salt, 2 cups of flour, and my particular recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of lard. Some people use shortening in a pie crust, or they will use butter. Both of them, they have different tastes and a little bit different texture. I personally like to use the lard because the lard has no liquid in it at all, and it makes a very, very flaky pie crust. I also like to use a method called the displacement method, measuring by displacement, for measuring fat. I've pre-measured 2 cups of cold water, and I am putting my lard in here until the measurement comes to the 3/4 mark. And once it hits that 3/4 mark, I know that I have measured 3/4 of a cup of lard without having to get another measuring cup dirty. So I can grab it out of my cold water. I put it in my flour, and I kind of press it together or cut it in. I'm using 2 forks. You can also use a tool called a pastry blender, or you can use something, a food processor that will pulse it into little pea-sized crumbles in your bowl. So once we do this using the fork to make these pea-sized crumbles, we will slowly add enough water from 4 to 8 tablespoons, depending on your flour, to make the crust for the pie. So I have a little bit further to go with this. And again, I chose to use these forks because a fork is probably something everyone has in their home that can easily aid you in making a pie crust. So as you see, the flour and the fat are starting to stick together in small particles. I'm going to do it for another second or two. And here we go. Try to get as much stuff off of the fork as I possibly can. And I will then add it in 1 tablespoon increments. There are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. And so I would like to do it 1 tablespoon at a time, so that I don't get it too soggy. So then I just flip it around to get it as moist as I possibly can. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep it work quickly. My water was very cold, and I'm just trying to incorporate the flour and the water. So this is my 3rd tablespoon. So by the time I get to my 4th tablespoon, I should see it really sticking together. Do you see how that's starting to stick together now? All right, so that was 3. 1. And I like to use the teaspoon because I feel like I can distribute it a little better around the pan, the bowl. All right, so I think I'm going to do 5. It looks like I need just a little bit more. And from doing this, having done this in a food processor, I will tell you that the food processor is much quicker, but the food processor can over-process it in a matter of seconds. So now I can use my hand, and you see how it's all sticking together like a ball. And that's what, this is all there is to a pie crust. One of the things about a pie crust is you do have to let it rest. And this particular recipe is enough to make a double crust pie, like a crust from the top and the bottom, or you can make 2 single crust pies. And I like to cut it in half. I could weigh it to make sure they're exactly equal in size, but I like to put it in a disc, then wrap it in some saran and put it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to use it. This will last for quite a while, also in the freezer. One of the other things that we have to be a little bit concerned with when making a pie is to know the size of your pie pan. Oftentimes you can look at the bottom of the pan and the pie pan will tell you the size. This pie crust is for a 9-inch pie. This is a 9-inch pie pan. So several of these are different sizes. This is obviously a glass pie pan. Glass works very well in baking, especially a pie. This is a ceramic pie pan. This is an aluminum pie pan. This is a stoneware pie pan. And again, we have another glass pie pan, but it's a little bit larger. It's a 10-inch pie pan, and it is also a deep dish pie pan, because you can see the difference in the size here. So don't be put off by the term cutting in. It's just a way to incorporate the fat and the flour to make a flaky pie crust.